All right, family, welcome to another episode of Kingdom Instruction, where we walk in the spirit and truth, and our currency is love, peace, and joy. I am your brother, ambassador, and son of the Most High Yahuwah. Now, I definitely want to thank you, man, for these verses. I definitely want to go over them with you and explain to you exactly what they mean. I always tell people that y'all definitely need to invest in one of these, okay? This is a concordance, a Strong's Biblical Concordance, and then you definitely want to get one of these as well. This is the Sefer Bible. This definitely will help you with, this definitely will help you with some of the words that they use, because this is one of the books that they have the most translated or closest translations to the original Hebrew that they spoke back then, with the original names and the original words that they actually used, versus like the King James Bible and stuff like that. The King James Bible, I'm not down in it at all. I got the New King James Study Bible here, but also the fact that a lot of words that they translated, they didn't translate them, or they improperly translated these words back then. More than likely, they just didn't have either the right people doing the work, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to go over those verses that you posted right there. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 8 is definitely the first one I want to go over, because you need to understand this. That, let me just say this at first. Now, the problem is that people are mixing the ancient Hebrew culture with modern day culture, and they are always going to clash, because you're taking Western culture that actually has a lot of paganism in it, and you're mixing it with a culture that the father at the time when they first started it was like pure, and what the father had intended for people to live their life based on these people that he chose to implement the information or the laws or instructions that he had placed on them. So in ancient Hebrew culture, marriage involved several steps. So first, there was a betrothal, and it pretty much was a binding agreement, often arranged by the families, followed by the payment of a bride price or a dowry. That's what they called it. After a period of preparation, the couple would have a marriage ceremony and then that'll be followed by a celebration. Okay, so that marriage pretty much was then considered official when they had those four steps. So during it's called a betrothal, and I'll put all the information up in the video for you to see. It was a formal agreement was made, often including the marriage contract called a ketubah. And this document outlined the husband's obligations to the wife, including the financial support. Now, the year-long period allowed them, and that was the time that they had to get themselves together, which was like the husband would get his financial situation straight, and that way he can support his wife. The wife would have time to get herself together to be married to this man. So it took just about a year for them to go through that process, okay? And then they would have he paid the dowry, and then they would have the marriage ceremony, okay? After they had the marriage ceremony, then that's when he found out if she was a virgin or not, because after that, that's when they would have their consummation, where they would consummate. And the process of that was, once they did this full ceremony, then the husband and wife would go into the room and they would consummate, physically get together, and the family would lay a sheet down and they would handle their business on that sheet. Now, if the sheet had blood on it, that meant that she was a virgin. If she didn't have blood on it, then there was a problem. So that is where you get the ability to divorce your wife. That's where that started from. Because if she was not a virgin, and typically back then, that's how it went. They were virgins. So the problem is, we're in a Western culture where most people have done the do before they even went down the process of going down the aisle, saying their I do's and saying their vows and stuff like that. That is where the problem lies at in all of this. So technically, even with the verse you gave me, and I'm gonna show you. That's why I tell people, make sure that if you don't read the whole chapter, at least read 20 verses above and then 20 verses below, and that way you can get an understanding of the concept of what they were trying to tell you in the scriptures. Okay, but if that woman was not a virgin, there was a problem. The man either could literally divorce her, and even then, if he divorced her, more than likely she would be stoned to death in front of her father's house. They would literally stone her because she brought sin into the reputation. They had reputation back then. So and they were like shame and like how Japan is now with honor and stuff like that. They're serious about that. So we're gonna go into the verses, and then I'm gonna show you. We're gonna go into the verses you gave me. Then I'm gonna show you where, like, in contrast to what you gave me, what the father actually said about this situation. So let's go ahead and do this now. Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 8. We're gonna look at that one real quick. Okay, so that one says, and I want to make sure I'm gonna put it up here so that people can read with me. But it says, "Then I saw that." I'm sorry. Make sure I'm on this right. It says that. Then I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. So that I can agree with. The father gave Israel a certificate of divorce. Now, during that time, Israel had split up into two parts. So you had the northern kingdom of Israel and you had the southern kingdom of Israel. So they did all of this after Solomon had died. They had split into two. So the northern kingdom contained 10 of the tribes of Israel. Now there were 12 tribes, but 10 of them were part of that northern tribe. And then 2 of them, which was Judah and Benjamin, were in the southern tribe, or the southern kingdom, that is. So, and they also had some Levites, some priests with them as well in that southern. Both of them had the Leviticus priests with them, so both of them had it. But regardless, technically, 10 tribes was in the north kingdom. 2 tribes plus some of the Levites were in the southern kingdom. Okay, so he did put away Israel, the northern kingdom, and that's why they went into slavery with one of the, I want to say, not the Babylonians, but hold on. So I just want to make sure I was right, but yeah, the northern kingdom fell into the Syrian hands when they went into slavery for being disobedient. And when he said they were committing adultery, they were like idol worshiping. They were giving all their love and respect and attention to the idols, which technically are demons and stuff like that. But he did do that. But don't get what he did and what he wants us to do. That's him. He can do what he wants, okay? But he told us in Malachi chapter 2, I want to say 2:14, that he hates divorce. So it wasn't even that hurt him. But I'm glad you gave me that, because if you go to Jeremiah 22, so just a couple of verses down, if you go to 22, it talks about the return. It says, "Return, you backsliding children, and I will heal your backsliding." So it's pretty much saying, hey, there's a call for a return and a promise of restoration. So he's still going to restore those other tribes, those that northern kingdom, those which they call Israel, and then the southern kingdom was called Judah, okay, or Yahuda. There's no letter J's in the Hebrew language, but it was called Yahuda. So that happened. That's fine. We get that. But there also is restoration, meaning that he was going to bring Israel back and put them back in their place where they were supposed to be. Okay, so that's cool. I'm cool with that verse, but it has nothing to do with what we got going on. And I'm not talking about me and you, but just our culture now and society now, that people in general now. It has nothing to do with what we got going on, because that's what he did, but he was very distinct about what he wanted us to do. So let's go to Matthew 19. The problem with Matthew 19, I made videos on this before. People only give me, like, when they have an issue or they say, oh, you can divorce, and he gives you reasons like, you gave me adultery, you gave me abuse, you gave me abandonment. So abandonment is in there based off of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and I want to say verse 15, but that talks more about an unbeliever. That's what that's talking about. But regardless, Matthew 19 and Matthew chapter 5 verse 32, the problem with this word, when you see divorce, they put the wrong translation in. They put in divorce, which is keratu. The word is keratu. I'm gonna put the word up there, but the word that they actually used was shalach, and it's got a in it. So shalach, SHALACH, and I'm gonna put it up there. Now, the word that they wrote was divorce, which is keratu, that is a legal severing of a marriage, but shalach is to send away or to let go or to put away, for a moment being. Okay, so meaning they more than likely would reconcile and get back together. Okay, that's the problem with Matthew 19:9 and Matthew 5:32. So people use those two verses, and I'll put them up there. But the word that they use was not divorce. They used the word put away. So they used the word salak, not keratu. Okay, that was the problem with that verse. Then, because if you actually, what's weird though? Everybody skips Matthew 19:6. Okay, this is the thing. He says in Matthew 19:6 that so then they are no longer two but one flesh. Therefore, what Yahuwah has joined together, let no man separate. Now, for some reason, everybody skipped that. They skipped that part and go straight to what he said. Let's go ahead and read it. And it says, and I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality. Now, remember what I just told you. The sexual immorality was this. When they actually laid down to consummate their marriage, then he would find out if she was a virgin or not. If she wasn't a virgin, then that's what gave him the right to divorce. Cool. Another thing I realized too, that everybody commented on this video about that I posted, she never said anything about you having to stay with somebody that was abusive. She never said, she said this: if you are married to somebody else and your first spouse is living, that marriage is not legal. Pretty much, that's it. That's technically all she said. She didn't say you had to stay with somebody that was abusive, that you had to stay with somebody that was, that you had to stay with the first person. She just said you couldn't get married to that second person, that it wasn't valid. And in the scriptures, it's so many verses. Even John telling King Herod that his marriage to his brother's wife, Herodias, was unlawful. So people just, I don't know why everybody mix all of that. And the fact that the father said that he hates divorce in the first place, that just blows my mind that everybody doesn't think about that. And the fact that the Messiah said 3 verses before y'all go to verse 9, that he said, let no man separate or put asunder. Some Bibles say separate some people versus say put asunder. Same thing. And then to add on to that, read verse 7. It says, they said to him, because the Pharisees is the ones that brought this they brought this up because they were trying to test him and see how he was going to respond to him. They said, why then did Moses command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? Now they said it right here, to put her away. Bam. Okay. He said to them, this is the Messiah speaking. He says, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, okay, permitted you to divorce. They never said that the Father said this. They said Moses. They asked about why Moses did it. They never said, well, why did the Father? The Father never changed the game up. Moses did that, and he permitted it. At that time, Moses was dealing with almost 70,000 plus people in the wilderness, and that's where that came from. Okay, so if you go back and reread the Old Testament, but that's where that started from. That's the root of it. He was dealing with 70,000 people, so he just didn't want to have to deal with every situation. So he's like, you know what? Just go on, just separate. But in the New Testament, it'll tell you, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 10 and 11 tells you, Paul said it, the Spirit spoke through Paul and said, if you're going to separate, you can't get remarried. You either going to have to stay single or you're going to have to reconcile with your spouse. Very simple. Now, the abuse and all that, I get it. This day and age, people are just doing whatever they want to do. I've talked to so many women that are married to, especially pastors and preachers. Man, it's a lot of women that are married to pastors and preachers right now, and that they are just going through the flux. But I have to explain this stuff. So yeah, it takes a long time for me to get y'all to understand that back then they had rules, they had respect. Women weren't virgins. I mean, women were virgins, and when they got married, they stayed married. It wasn't no, there are examples of the men leaving their wives or divorcing their wives. But for the most part, if you read all of the ones that the Father said he was the God of, he said he was the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Them guys were married to their wife and they stayed married. Now they had, the other side pieces, but those side pieces, and I'm not saying side pieces like that. Let me rephrase that. They had, concubines or whatever you want to call them, or that the wives gave them. But regardless, those women brought problems. So it was never a good thing. He always intended for us, even the Messiah said it, for this reason, and this is chapter 19 of Matthew, verse, let's see. This is verse 5. He says, and for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother, because at that time back then, the man was still living with his parents until he got married. That's why they would give them a year for him to get himself together, get a crib, get his finances right. That way he can take care of his wife. Because women technically, they work, but not like how, things are now. So a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined. They joined to his wife, okay? So he's supposed to leave his family. She is leaving her family. And them two are going to be a union, and they're going to join together, and the two shall be one. Let no no judge, let no lawyer, let nothing separate. Don't let the milkman that she messing around with, the pool guy, or the guy at work she messing around with, let no woman that he's seeing on the side, let nobody separate what they got going on. So that's the thing. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24:4 real quick, okay? And like I said, hopefully you'll see all this information that I'll put. It's gonna take a little bit longer to make these videos, but I need y'all to understand this information. I really do. So let's see, Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 4. Like I said, people send me verses all the time. I definitely look at them because I want to see, you know, I can't, I always explain, I don't give my opinions and thoughts. I go straight off the scriptures. I do the research and understanding of the words. That's why I tell people to study etymology, get you a concordance so you can study the Hebrew and the Greek words, understand the words that they use, and then you can go based off of that. And honestly, it helps and makes it make way more sense. And then just study the scriptures, literally just study the scriptures. So you gave me 24:4, and it says, let's see, it says, oh, okay. So this is the thing, and I'm glad you gave me this one too, because this is one of the big ones that I realize people are. Well, you're the first one to actually give me this verse, but I'm going to break this down because, like I tell people, this is one of those verses you definitely want to read the whole chapter. Okay, it says, then her former husband who divorced her must not take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled. Did you read that? It says she was defiled. So when she leaves her first husband, anybody she messes with after that, she could get married. She could try to get married. And what does it say? It says she is defiled. Okay. For that is an abomination before Yahuwah, and you shall not bring sin on the land which the Elohim, your Adonai, your Elohim, is giving you in the inheritance. Okay. So let's go back. This is the law concerning divorce, the beginning of 24. It says, when a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanliness in her. And that's where we go. That's where we get that she wasn't a virgin from. Okay. So, and he writes her a certificate of divorce. Remember, Moses permitted it because of the hardness of their heart. So even though she was found unclean, he could have been like, you know what? It's okay. It's like this. Most of y'all get married now, and y'all have had partners way before the person that y'all got married with. Usually 9 times out of 10. I mean, I know some people that get married to their high school sweetheart, but for the most part, in this day and age, in this society, in this culture that we live in, most people nowadays have already had sex before marriage, hands down. Even sleeping with your husband before y'all get married and not going through the ceremony process, that's called fornication. Okay, because it's no guarantee that you two are going to get married. You see what I'm saying? So I know people like say, oh well, whoever you lay down with, that's your spouse. Yeah, all right. Y'all see how that played out when I made videos about that. Y'all didn't want to respond to that one because technically, if you say that, if that's in your heart, which the Hebrew word for heart is mind, then yeah, you're going to be held accountable because your words are going to condemn you during Judgment Day. So think about that. So it says that he puts it in her hand, sends her out of the house. When she has departed from his house and goes and becomes another man's wife, if the latter husband detests her and writes her a certificate of divorce, puts it in her hand and sends her out of the house, or if the latter husband dies who took her as his wife, then her former husband who divorced her must not take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that is an abomination. So he felt like anybody sleeping with somebody else after they done got married or separated or divorced, let's just say divorce, she was defiled. So even if you got married to your husband and you end up like you was with somebody before him, you were already defiled. So you was already bad product. Like, that's hands down. That's what it's saying. Okay? So you can't twist this up. That's what it says. You were defiled. So that is an abomination. the abomination, when he uses the word abomination, that means that's a serious word. That is a serious word. Like how people say the word hate is a strong word. Abomination definitely is when it comes to the fathers, considering something abomination, like people touching or eating swine, pork, pig, that's an abomination. Or if a man wears the clothes of a woman, or if the woman wears the clothes of a man, that's considered an abomination too. So I'm telling you, y'all need to start reading this and getting an understanding of what these scriptures say. So Jeremiah 3:8, yeah, he wrote the Israel, the northern kingdom, a certificate of divorce. But he also had if you go to verse 22 of Jeremiah 3, then he also called for them to return and a promise of restoration. Then we go back to Matthew 19:9, the words were actually put away. So that was that right there. And then Deuteronomy chapter 24 verses 4. Like I said, I always tell people, read 20 verses above, read 20 verses below, or just literally just read the whole chapter so you can get an understanding of the context of what they're saying. So yeah, that's it. I get it. People want to do what they want to do, but y'all gonna have to stop mixing the Hebrew culture with this Western culture and the Western mindset. That's why the Messiah said, Matthew chapter 4 verse 17, the first thing he said when he came on was, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Okay, so repent is a Hebrew word that means to change your minds, to change your ways, to turn away from the way you used to think or the way you used to react. Okay, so that's what that is. Thank you so much for staying and watching this video. I'm gonna leave a bunch of notes so y'all can see what I'm talking about, but in verses. But regardless, hey, I love you guys. If y'all have any more questions about the scriptures, please do not hesitate. Y'all can, if y'all want to leave them in the regular comments, you're more than welcome to DM me, and I'll be more than happy to answer the question and make a video for you guys. I love you guys. All praise due to the Most High for all his knowledge and wisdom and understanding. I always give him the praise. I only have this understanding because of the Father. Ask, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things, all this understanding will be given to you. I promise that. Okay, ask the Father, pray to the Father for wisdom, understanding, and get knowledge and wisdom and understanding, and you'll have the wisdom that comes with it. Okay, all right, that's it. I'm done. I love y'all. I'll see y'all later. Have a blessed one. Shalom.
All right, let me make this quick because this is my third time trying to make this video part right here, just this part right here. I'm in the midst of editing the video that you're watching right now, but I came across this, and this is the nail in the coffin. So we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 44 verse 22. Okay, now listen to what it says. It says, they shall not take as wife a widow or a divorced woman, but take virgins of the descendants of the house of Israel, or widows of priests. Okay, so if the priest died and he left his wife, then you can marry her. Okay, but check this out. If you go to Exodus chapter 19 verse 6, because if you read the verses before, it's talking about the priest. But check this out. Exodus 19:6 says, and you shall be to me, this is the Father talking to Moses to talk to the children of Israel. He said, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. Okay, bam. So unless somebody's deceased, you cannot remarry. Unless your spouse is deceased, you are not allowed to remarry. Very simple. Because if you go back to Ezekiel 44 verse 22, they shall not take as wife a widow or a divorced woman. Okay, now generally the Levites were considered the priest. The bloodline of Moses and Aaron, they were considered the priest. Okay, but here it's talking about all of Israel. Okay, but this is the thing. Israel, the whole Israel family bloodline was always supposed to be to the Father a kingdom of priests. Remember, my channel's Kingdom Instructions, because I'm teaching y'all about the kingdom. They were supposed to be a kingdom, remember, a country of priests, a nation, and a holy nation. They were supposed to be a country of priests and a holy nation, set apart nation. So they're not like everybody else, okay? So, bam, nail in the coffin, okay? You can't deny this information. You can't deny it, okay? But let me finish editing this video. I just wanted to put this in because I knew this came across me. So the Father wanted me to see this and say this for a reason. So I got y'all. I'll see y'all later. I'm out again for sure. Peace.